Social Issues App. Justice Radio Station.
Social Issues App.
Justice Radio Station.
Social Issues App.
Presenting evidence why and how to create a system where the individual will guarantee that no one is mistreated and guarantee that who needs help the most receives the most constructive help in all areas of people activity in society, including economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Justice Radio Station. Social Issues App.
Social Issues App.
Justice Radio Station. Google your bookstore for justice. Go to Justice Radio Station.
Social Issues App.
Fail to plan, plan to fail.
Why haven't you learned anything?
But that's okay, I understand you. Now I will, on my own, begin to understand the game. I will begin to understand racism, white supremacy, what it is and exactly how it works. Because I have the intention of producing justice on this planet so that no one is mistreated and those who need the most help get the most help so there can be peace. And once we get that going, we can move forward and think about becoming universal man and universal woman on this planet. But the foundation is going to be that we have now realized that we were shaped and molded so we would not have respect for ourselves. But we're going to change that in rapid order. Because now we're understanding. Now we're understanding. But we are going to be about the business of establishing justice on this planet.
Break the cycle of violence.
I believe then that many of our people, many of us, I'm still struggling every day myself. And I'm over 60 years old. I've been working with this stuff of trying to break the chains of psychological slavery for almost 40 years. And every day I'm still trying to understand how to really get free in a way that I'm not buying someone else's definition of freedom and in fact going to the universal definitions of freedom, which has to do with the freedom of the spirit, the freedom of the soul, the freedom to somehow be able to reconnect with the divine force from which I and all of us have originated.
Mic check. Mic check. Check mic.
Check mic. Mic check.
Justice Radio Station. Social Issues App.
Social Issues App. Justice Radio Station.
Am I dreaming? Are you dreaming? Do you know the difference between dreaming and reality? Do you think the room you are in, the TV set you are watching, even the body you call yours, or even the air you are breathing, is it real? Well, maybe you haven't asked what makes this world real. Join us and see if you can find out what is the real deal.
Justice Radio Station. Social Issues App.
Do not fight the last war, the guerrilla war of the mind strategy. What most often weighs you down and brings you misery is the past, in the form of unnecessary attachments, repetitions of tired formulas, and the memory of old victories and defeats. You must consciously wage war against the past and force yourself to react to the present moment. Be ruthless on yourself. Do not repeat the same tired methods. Sometimes you must force yourself to strike out in new directions, even if they involve risk. What you may lose in comfort and security, you will gain in surprise, making it harder for your enemies to tell what you will do. Wage guerrilla war on your mind, allowing no static lines of defense, no exposed citadels. Make everything fluid and mobile. The Last War. Ruthless Guide to Psychological Warfare.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
Who am I?
Am I really who I am?
Am I all I ought to be?
Who am I?
Who am I?
Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. I said empty your mind. Be shapeless. Be formless, like water. Democracy versus justice.
Mr. President, distinguished delegates.
Justice Radio Station. Social Issues App. Thanks kindly for listening. Worldwide.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Justice Radio Station. Social Issues App.
I'm called Tahuti.
I'm called Mary.
Peace, prosperity, love to all. Black Talk Radio Network, right on.
Right on.
Tonight, episode, Mary.
Identity. For change to occur, there must be dissatisfaction. Are you dissatisfied?
You said dissatisfaction brings change.
That's right.
So what that says to me also is, well, what do you really want? We have to determine also what do we really want, you know.
It's true.
Because a lot of individuals, if you look at the environment, the orientation, you know, with a child surrounded by the clues, you know, the so-called poverty, the stereotype, the bias, the intolerance, the racism,
They see it all.
So in terms of, again, we say we want peace, we want togetherness, we want love, but the orientation suggests different.
That is disorientation.
So, well, we're here seeing how we can provide certain evidence and experience for creating a system where no one is mistreated, white and non-white. A system of justice would be better than what we have.
True, that's true.
So, also, as you just said, true, very important concept, because we're saying, well, words is limited, but it is all that we have to communicate. So we want to use words. We say, well, see if you can be spiritual correct. You know that you've heard about political correctness.
Yes.
Let's see if we can be more spiritual correct in how you're naming yourself. The self. The I that everybody refer themselves as before they put the name and the different labels and hats we have required within the society. Right?
Correct.
And then we're saying, well, how do you know what is true? Because there's 8 billion people on the planet, and most individuals would say, well, their own truth, they have their own truth. Come to realize they might have their own experience, but is that true? That each individual has his own truth?
There's only one, and for clarity and less confusion, it appears that reality is true. Now, I'm not talking about relative and practical reality, everyone, but reality. We must know what is real, because that's not usually a topic. And even if you talk about truth, because that's also not real in terms of being in a criminogenic society, deceptive society, where everyone appears to be participating, knowingly or not.
The example is, ask yourself if we're in a democracy as we're taught.
And I tell you, you get the answer no. People will say, oh yeah, well, I know.
The rest of the case.
Yes.
So, but we're saying, so you're saying, well, if something is true, then it must be real.
That's right. That's true.
Right, because how are we defining truth? We're looking at it then as unchanging.
Correct.
Right, it can't be this today and that tomorrow.
Yes. And I also have to say, from experience, it appears most people, when speaking about truth, actually limiting it to time and space and the human, so to speak. And many times it's from conditioning, so that the event that happens to be happening is doing so in response to the mistreatment system. Yeah, so it's
good. That's a good point. So then question everything that you believe, right?
correct.
Because if it's not generic, if it's not based in truth, then you have to question its existence itself, right?
Correct.
So lately we've been talking also about identity.
Correct.
I thought that kind of ties in with this idea also, because we're taught, it appears, this is even so-called Black History Month, right? So we're taught, because I didn't know I was black until I was taught.
Okay.
So everything that we're taught, we're saying question it. But it appears that I was born on a planet, right? It appears. But we were saying we even questioning that. But it appears that we're on a planet. in space, infinite directions. There's no top, there's no bottom, there's no end. And then we're saying we're conditioned to believe that there's these race on the planet, right?
Yes,
and then
race
there's a
of
black
people.
Yeah, there's a black race. Yeah, race of people, because they say there's a human race.
Yes, that's
also
another deception.
Yeah, but then they say, well, there's a black race and then there's a white race.
Yes.
And the history says, her story says that they were kidnapped, stolen from their homeland, right? So there was a Ma'afa.
Yes, right.
You know, that's why even now we're saying commemorate Black History Month, etc. So we said identity was lost, right? Our way of life was taught. We were even taught it was lost.
Oh, true.
Right?
Yes.
We said we lost our appetite for even understanding that culture. Because if you really check it, we've been given somebody else's history and culture, if you really think about it too. Because it's been replaced. These things that was lost was even replaced. This is the teaching.
And it appears true.
Right? And we're saying general loss of memory, because most individuals don't know what they are. That brings us back to that identity.
Correct.
You know, right now they're pushing the DNA thought in terms of looking into your history and DNA to find out who and what you are, or how many groups you're related to. Right? This human. But then we're saying we're given false images, and of course somehow if you don't understand the nature of this human mind also, you could remain a slave to the beliefs of someone else.
That's what's happening.
So, you know, imagination, memory, you know, you create false memories. It said also we lost our land. So now our productivity and capacity and,
that's right,
you know,
be
do for self.
self-determining, correct,
right,
lost.
So now we find ourselves, if you really think about it, dependent, because that must be the overall concept. When I look at about what is the root of racism, white supremacy, one and the same, by the way, because they're saying, well, it's not just color, it's one is better. So racism is white supremacy is racism.
And supposed to be mistreated, and is mistreated.
Well, it translates into a mistreatment idea, because remember said now you have to, who wants to be dominated, so in a sense you have to be forced. And of course now there's no chains, but they once said there were chains,
right?
So then now more so it must be psychological, because we still say we're dependent. How is that the case? You know, and when we say dependent, the evidence, we have to go for anything that's valuable. Food, clothes, shelter, water. Somehow we're dependent on these folks who said and that they're our enemy. Historically.
Made themselves an enemy,
yes,
to non-white people.
So then we're saying, well, who then am I? Am I really who I am, and all I have to be is a very important question in terms of going back to, well, how dissatisfied are you in context to living in
a place where no identity is remembered? Just remembering, and that's a good thing, everyone. Remember the identity, not that the deceptive words and position stereotypes in the 600-year narrative that everyone falls on in any type of discussion. Identity.
For real.
And this is the point where when you observe what's being said about that 600-year narrative that everyone find themselves in,
You mean the
along with
slavery
the
talk
deceit,
and that history.
and the deceit of always trying to catch up, always talking about being equal. All of these things are what's being used to deceive everyone, white, so-called white and non-white. So her story can only be solved. The problem that her story embodies can only be solved with reality, and reality is truth.
So also when I examined in the idea of democracy, I realized we were not in a democracy as taught.
No.
Neither a republic.
No.
So it ties back to what the I was just saying.
Yes. Deception that keep one away from really looking at identity. Who am I? And I say again, we say again that the reason this is happening is to keep everyone maladjusted and in a position of dependency.
So we're saying, since it's happening psychologically, somehow we have to realize, then we have to metaphysically.
Yes.
You know, it has to be a prerequisite, going deep within, no matter how painful.
True.
You know, it's going to take a little bit of self-knowledge.
It is.
Realizing,
It
yes, it is a political necessity to have the society as is, and people who have certain hue at the bottom, and certain folks whose fear is at the top.
Yes.
And then we're saying also, to understand this phenomena, very important to understand the nature and structure of the human mind, how it functions. You know, why do it think and act the way it does? Which translate into how individuals think and act. How can we even seem like we're being set up and punked? How is that possible?
Because the one who's doing the tricking actually understand the nature and structure of the human mind.
And the human behavior.
Yes, so if one is dissatisfied, which when you look at what's called her story that we've been given, whenever there was dissatisfaction, people, everyone, you know, dissatisfaction, like not doing what master say, not sitting in the back of the bus, marching, saying we want civil rights, saying we want to integrate, all of these things, dissatisfaction. Now, what happened? Because I'm still dissatisfied. Well, we, correctly speaking,
and many,
everyone, yes, it appears, may be dissatisfied. So what happens, because she is very smart, very, very smart.
Not wise now.
No. And seeing that the non-white people appear to be dissatisfied, she now gives something to crave how you say, yes, to satisfy. Thank you very much. The dissatisfaction. And then what happens is we are just acting as if one is satisfied. Going along, as long as we can go to the movies, get the day off, get a raise, you know, think we are what we're working at. You're more than that, everyone. You're not just what you're working at in a system, an environment that's actually criminogenic.
Corporation.
Yes. Mistreatment system for everyone, and that's not real. That's not real. It's practical reality, relative reality, but in reality, that's not how it is. So you're actually participating and keeping something that's of no value. It appears that it is, but in reality, it's finite. Everything. The body, you see how it's perishing, so to speak. You're not 9 years of age anymore, 10, 13, or 21.
So you say the body is changing.
It's changing as we speak.
So looking at the logic that and the truth that we're expressing, if it's changing, then you have to question, is it real?
True.
Right?
That's true.
And so leading back to some of the thoughts, what we're saying, we want to use words now, definition of words, to reveal truth. So I want to encourage individuals to saying, work on emptying your mind, zero out, put your mind on your mind rack outside. When I say that, all the preconceived idea, all the fantasies and myths, the victories and losses of the past, wage guerrilla warfare on the past. See if you can strike out in different directions. Sometimes, getting away from the comfort. I'm talking also metaphor, because it's like how we think in our mind, how we processing things. Sometimes we need to put them aside, see if we can see things from another point of view. So that's why we're also laying certain groundwork in how we're expressing what we're expressing in context to are we dissatisfied? Touching a little history in terms of how the Ma'afa has also shaped our history that we've been given, because everything that we believe is been taught to us, tie our shoes, eat, sleep, the values in all areas of people activity in society.
That's right.
Right? The stereotypes, fatty, slob. If you're blonde hair, you must be a bimbo.
That's what they say.
The short, black, uneducated woman least preferred in society.
That's what they say.
And of course you know who's the preferred. European, blonde, blue eye. Isn't that the teachings?
That's it.
So then the idea now of, taking these bits of information, because remember, say it's all information. It's not knowledge. Information and knowledge is two different things. One is external and one is internal. Gnosis. Right?
Correct.
Understanding something without thinking about it. You know this. Am I the person? Am I the individual? Am I the mind?
No, no, no.
Am I the body?
No.
Am I my senses?
No, not
Am
at all.
I my emotions?
No.
Or am I the essence, the source, the breath?
Yes, yes, yes.
Pure consciousness.
Consciousness.
I'm not a part of consciousness. Am I consciousness itself?
Consciousness, self, I am.
So that's why we're saying empty your mind. Be shapeless, be formless like water. For real.
Yes, let your mind be like a parachute. It only works when open.
So this is why we're saying question everything you believe, even your senses. Does the sun rise? Does the sun set? We're saying reality is the only thing that exists. The idea that there's all these objects and things is a conditioned mind. Ignorant, I might add, a conditioned mind that sees the world and our bodies and the universe exists outside and separate from existence itself, the breath. So we believe ourselves to be separate objects. This is to understand the nature and structure of the human mind now. But reality, it's relative
Practical.
in terms of these objects. In reality, everything is one.
True.
Relative reality is a state most people somehow is caught up in because that's how we've been miseducated.
That's
It's a
what's
colonized miseducation,
That's right. That's better for the colony.
right? All
That's
the religions, what religion is about in this time, organized religion, is telling you what to believe.
Divisive.
And since now we're kind of like, think outwardly, need a savior from outside. You see how we can be punked and tricked? Manipulated so folks can give us a God, folks can give us a savior outside of ourselves, that is.
Yes, and since that's the standard, it multiplies. That's why you have so many groups, so many organized groups, organized religion, organized programs. And thanks for being there. Is to now take everything to the, people will say, next level. But let's now look at truth as the level.
Right. Because we're saying, wasn't, when we're talking about Ma'afa, some of these things that was taken away,
Yes.
lost, forgotten,
Yes.
idea of seeing and having a God within your image.
Correct.
Because remember that Jehovah God, that we've all been given as God, was a concept God given,
Right.
that we all embrace as God, this male, right?
Human characteristics, emotions, human.
Beliefs of someone
Yes.
else.
Yes. However, looking at God, not the word, but looking at how that in a true sense will be expressed, is looking at divine principle, because we are looking at creation to now say, oh yeah, there is a creator.
Duh.
And you're thinking a person, but it's not a person, never a person as a code of truth, a divine principle that sustains the universe,
That breath.
pulsates in each one of us as self.
I'm just saying we're working to see if there's a different way of looking at what we're looking at now.
Right.
So we're saying also we must transcend then this relative reality to live,
Practical reality.
to live
Yes.
in reality.
Yes.
To not only understand this great teaching, this great insight, but to know it. Remember we were saying to gnosis,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
This is to me like really where happiness is.
That's where the power is.
Bliss.
The power.
So understanding this science is to really accomplish this understanding that our true state is an undifferentiated energy matter, right?
True.
Unconditioned, shapeless, formless, no sex, no race, no class. This is true liberation, salvation, self-realization.
Yes. True.
I know it might sound a little, but
Experience it.
right, and of course it might, sound funny, this wisdom to say, well, this world is an illusion. It's a mental illusion. It might, but check the wisdom. It's not that we're saying it don't exist. Of course, you just have to try and run through a wall to find that out. But we're saying how you're thinking, wrapping your mind around it. Remember, the idea is like, if we're saying we're the breath, we're talking about energy, to be crude. Energy. But energy in its subtle form is light, to be crude. But in its more dense, it's this physical, it's this human, it's this body. So then, who am I? Should I latch on to the one that's perishing,
No.
temporary, satisfying my desires and sensual pleasures? Or should I be looking for that unchanging, eternal, unchanging truth?
Magnificent. Yes.
Right?
True.
So what we're saying to the preoccupation of all this matter and matters such as race relationships, these wars, the crime, the social status, my physical appearance, and all the kind of intricacies of this human
things, wrapped up in things with no value, since we don't have justice, we don't have truth, which will give value to everything we have.
So is everything still just limited in terms of its intellect that we all have? So it's almost like the unlearned learning from the unlearned.
That's what's happening.
Running along.
Yes, blindly.
But it's the nature and structure of the human mind. We're not talking about anybody particular.
No, it's the human mind, the nature of the human mind. And it's something to be known, can be known, must be known.
And we're saying too, if you somehow hold on to this pettiness that 500 years somehow always gravitate itself back to, you can find yourself in a sense confined in bondage to these ideas and thoughts. So we was looking again earlier about the nature and structure of the mind and the emotions that we're looking at. And today I have to touch on this very important point in context to how again we're saying we're perceiving the surroundings, the world, and looking at how again you can't really just rely on the emotions to tell you what is, or your senses to tell you what is. For instance, if you had the ears and hearing of a bat, we was talking about it earlier,
right?
Or basically the sight of an owl.
That's
right?
Correct.
And the
sense of a canine,
right?
Yes.
Then your senses and perception will be totally different in perceiving the world that we're in.
Correct. That's so true.
Right? So you could still see the senses that we have is more geared to that dual thought, over here, time and space. That's why now we're saying it's relative. Because what time is it in Mars? So, looking again at now the senses and looking at the world in a totally different manner, we're saying, whoa, if you were now going to look, this is a little explanation of saying I am the breath in another way. If you're going to say, well, now looking at the world through a power scope and seeing the molecules and atoms spinning around each other, look at the dimensions that actually we'll be seeing the world in its reality.
Very good.
There's only one reality, and it's all being held together with just consciousness, because it's all space.
It appears.
Apart from the pinhead.
That everything may fit on.
So we're saying, well, to know truth, you have to become it. Be the gnosis. In a sense, to be able to understand 8 billion people on the planet would take forever. But again, be like Tahuti, ancient Kemet, scribe, philosopher, wisdom faculty. It said, identified it with the essence of the thing, of the individual. Become the essence, and you will understand. You will become. So know is to be.
Yes. So to know the knower is to be the knower.
And it can happen within our lifetime.
Yes.
So to speak.
Yes.
Godlike on the planet.
In the human form.
Very good. Thought, speech, and action. Pure thoughts.
That's beautiful.
One ocean of reality.
Wow.
Versus the ego sense. Manipulation. Deceit.
And then the children will be born into an environment where no one is mistreated, and who needs the most constructive help receives it in all the areas of people activity in society. Beautiful.
Justice Radio Station. Social Issues app. Thanks kindly for listening. Peace, love, and prosperity to all.
Worldwide. Only that which is in harmony, only that which is in harmony with all can survive and flourish. So that divine principle that sustains the universe, pulsating in each one of us as self, is the power, the harmony, the peace, the unity that everyone is yearning for, is in harmony with all, can survive and flourish.
Wow. So to be in harmony, to be one, to know is to become, is to thrive.
That's who I am. That's it. Everyone hear that? Hear that?
Say that one more time.
Only that which is in harmony with all can survive and flourish. No more school to wherever the negative, destructive environment is. No more of that. No more of the elder people being mistreated or the ones in between. Since we will have an environment where no one is mistreated, the individual guarantees that no one is mistreated, including the individual, and who needs the most constructive help receives it. Everyone using words that reveal truth, producing correctness, compensating for what's missing. Truth will counter the mistreatment system, and finally we'll have peace. As has Sister Francis say, then we can become universal man and woman. Work on that. Remember how that is.
This is food for action.
Now.
Justice Radio Station. Social Issues app. One time.
Justice Radio Station. Thanks for being jail psychotherapy. White, black, history. Don't fight this worldwide last war, family. Guerrilla war of the mind is strategy. Wage guerrilla war on the past.
Justice Radio Station. Social Issues app. Mic check.